Hey folks, welcome to Deep Dive Dispatch, the podcast where we don't just scratch the surface, we dig deep into the political landscapes that shape our world today. I'm excited to introduce your guides on this journey through history and headlines, John Matthews and his insightful co-host, Sarah Collins. Together, they'll peel back the layers of complex political issues, offering a slightly conservative viewpoint while staying rooted in facts and historical context. So, buckle up for a thought-provoking ride as we dive into the stories behind the stories. This is Deep Dive Dispatch. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. It's almost Thanksgiving.
That's right.
And
very exciting.
yeah, it is. It's exciting for sure. So this time we're going beyond the traditional story of pilgrims in Turkey to uncover some surprising facts about the first Thanksgiving and its connection to economic systems.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we've got some historical journals, economic commentaries,
Interesting.
and even firsthand accounts from the pilgrims themselves.
Wow.
Buckle up, because you might be surprised by what we discover.
Well, it's fascinating how much of the Thanksgiving story we think we know is actually not the full picture.
Really?
Yeah. For example, a lot of people believe the Pilgrims had the first Thanksgiving celebration in America. But there's evidence of Thanksgiving feasts happening way earlier.
Like how much earlier?
Decades earlier.
Wow.
We're talking about Spaniards holding Thanksgiving feasts as early as 1541.
Oh, wow.
Even English colonists in Maine beat the Pilgrims to it with a Thanksgiving celebration in 1607.
Wow.
It seems like this tradition of giving thanks for blessings and harvests was already well established in the New World before the Pilgrims even showed up.
That's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
So where does that leave the story we all learned in school about the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag?
Well, it's still an important part of the story,
Yeah.
but it's often really oversimplified.
Okay.
The hardships that the Pilgrims faced were just immense, and
Yep.
it's truly remarkable that they survived.
Yeah.
William Bradford,
Okay.
he was the governor of Plymouth Colony. He kept a detailed journal,
Okay.
and his account paints a much more vivid picture of their struggles.
Okay.
For example, during their first winter,
Yeah.
half the colony died from starvation, sickness, and exposure.
Half the colony.
Yeah,
That's a lot of people.
it was rough.
Wow, that puts a whole new perspective on their journey.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, adjusting to a new environment. It was a fight for survival.
Exactly. And that makes their religious motivations for the journey even more significant.
Okay.
These weren't just adventurers looking for fortune. They were deeply religious people
Okay.
fleeing persecution in England.
Yeah.
The Mayflower Compact, their foundational governing document,
Right.
reflects that. It established a community
Go.
based on, quote, just and equal laws, end quote, inspired by biblical principles.
Oh, interesting.
It's actually a fascinating precursor
Okay.
to American democracy
Yeah.
and its focus on individual rights.
So we have these deeply religious settlers driven by a desire for freedom,
Yes.
facing unbelievable hardships.
Incredible hardships.
Yeah, incredible hardships in a new land.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like a recipe for disaster. How did they manage to not just survive,
Yeah.
but eventually thrive?
That's where things get really interesting.
Right.
And where the story of Thanksgiving takes an unexpected turn.
Right.
Initially, the Pilgrims had a common store economic system.
A common store. What does that even mean?
It meant there was no individual ownership, so everyone worked, and all the fruits of their labor went into this common pool,
Oh, okay.
and everyone got equal shares,
Okay.
regardless of their effort or output.
So kind of like a commune.
Exactly.
Or even, dare I say it, early socialism.
Precisely.
Wow.
And according to Bradford's journal,
Yeah.
this system led to some big problems.
Okay.
He observed a lack of incentive,
Oh, God.
growing resentment among the colonists,
Oh, okay.
and ultimately low productivity.
That makes sense. If everyone gets an equal share no matter how much they contribute,
Yeah,
then where's the motivation to work harder?
exactly. Bradford even quotes some colonists complaining about working hard
What?
to support other men's families without any extra reward.
Oh, wow.
They saw it as very unjust.
Yeah.
And it created a lot of tension within the colony.
So what happened? How did they turn things around?
Well, this is where we see a huge change in their approach. One that would ensure not only their survival,
Okay.
but also lay the groundwork for their future prosperity.
Okay.
Governor Bradford, recognizing the problems of the common store system,
Yeah.
decided to try something pretty radical.
What do you do?
He assigned plots of land to individual families, their own private property.
Wow. That's a big change.
Yeah.
What was the impact of this shift to private ownership?
It was huge.
Go ahead.
According to Bradford,
Yeah.
the results were immediate and remarkable. Productivity soared. The colonists started producing way more food than they needed, enough to even trade with the Native Americans.
That's great.
And this newfound prosperity, driven by individual initiative and the incentive to work for their own gain, was a key reason why they not only survived,
Yeah.
but thrived.
So their first Thanksgiving wasn't just a celebration of a big harvest. It was a celebration of their successful transition to a system that actually rewarded individual effort and ingenuity.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It really is. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah. This seemingly simple story of the Pilgrims and the first Thanksgiving
Yeah.
actually offers a really profound lesson about human nature
Yeah.
and the power of incentives, but that's a discussion for next time.
Okay. Sounds good.
So it's fascinating how this simple story of the Pilgrims and their first Thanksgiving actually gives us a glimpse
Right.
into the foundations of the economic systems that still shape our world today.
It's true. We started by talking about some Thanksgiving myths,
Right.
and now we're like deep in the economic theories of socialism and capitalism.
Exactly.
Who knew Thanksgiving could be so intellectually stimulating?
It's really a testament to how history,
Yeah.
even a holiday as familiar as Thanksgiving, can offer these surprising insights into human nature
Right.
and how societies work.
So how does the Pilgrims' experience relate to these big economic systems?
Well, their initial approach with the common store,
Yeah.
with its focus on shared resources and equal distribution, really reflects some of the core ideas of socialist thought.
Right.
But their struggles with low productivity and resentment
Yeah.
highlight some of the potential problems of that kind of system.
It seems like that lack of individual incentive really hurt them.
Yeah,
People weren't motivated to put in the extra work
right.
if there was no personal reward.
Exactly. And this is where the ideas of capitalism come in. When Governor Bradford started that system of private property, he basically introduced the concept of individual ownership
Okay.
and the right to benefit from your own work.
And that seemed to spark all this innovation and productivity in the colony.
Yeah, exactly. The Pilgrims' experience is like a historical example of how individual initiative
Yeah.
combined with a system that rewards hard work
Okay.
and ingenuity
Right.
can lead to much more prosperity. It's not about saying one system is better than the other.
No.
It's about understanding those complex human motivations and all the different ways societies have organized themselves throughout history.
This kind of makes me wonder, how much of the Pilgrims' success can we really say is because of this switch to private property?
Yeah.
Like, how much of it was because of other things, like the help from the Wampanoag, or just good luck?
That's a great question.
Yeah?
And it's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
Historical events are rarely caused by just one thing.
Right.
And there were definitely multiple factors at play with the Pilgrims.
Okay.
But Bradford's journal does highlight that positive impact of changing to private property.
Yeah.
He describes how it totally transformed the colony,
Uh-huh.
making, quote, all hands industrious, end quote,
Okay.
and leading to that surplus of food and increased trade.
So even though we can't pinpoint just one reason for their success,
Yeah.
it's safe to say that moving towards individual ownership was a big part of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And it kind of shows the power of incentives and how people can really thrive when they have that freedom and opportunity to benefit from their own work.
It's pretty amazing to think about how these economic principles,
Right.
which we're still debating today,
Yeah.
played out in such a real way
Yeah.
in the early days of our country.
Yeah. It really adds another layer to how we understand Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about being thankful for a good harvest,
Right.
but it also reminds us of that constant human effort
Yeah.
to find the best ways to organize ourselves,
Right.
create wealth,
Yeah.
and make sure everyone is treated fairly.
We've talked about so much in this deep dive,
Yeah, we have.
from Thanksgiving myths to the economics behind the Pilgrim story, and it's given me a lot to think about as I get ready for Thanksgiving with my friends and family this year.
It's always cool to see familiar stories in a new light, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And maybe this Thanksgiving, as we enjoy our meals and think about what we're thankful for, we can also take a minute to think about those historical forces and economic principles that have
Yeah.
shaped the world
Uh-huh.
and continue to impact our lives today.
That's a great point.
You know, it's wild how the Pilgrims' experience, even all those years ago,
right?
still matters to our economic discussions today.
Oh.
We're still wrestling with these basic questions about individual drive and the well-being of everybody.
Totally. The Pilgrim story is like a case study from history, showing us how different economic ideas actually play out.
It's like they're not just theories. They really affect how societies work and how people live their lives.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to adapt to last.
It's pretty inspiring to see how this small group of people who were dealing with so much hardship
It's true.
found a way to make things better for themselves.
It is their toughness, their ingenuity, and their openness to new ideas.
Yeah.
That's a lesson for all of us, really.
I agree.
When we celebrate Thanksgiving, it's good to remember their story is about more than just a big meal.
That's for sure.
It's about the strength of the human spirit,
Yeah.
the value of each person's effort, and that ongoing search for a better future.
Well said. And as we all get together with our families this Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
I hope we can all take a moment to think about these deeper meanings
I agree.
and appreciate how history has brought us to where we are now.
For sure. And maybe as we enjoy all the good food,
Yeah,
we can also think about those who aren't as fortunate.
absolutely. That's a great thought to carry with us, not just during Thanksgiving, but all year round. This Thanksgiving, I'll be raising a glass not only to gratitude and family, but also to that power of human creativity
Yeah.
and our never-ending search for a brighter future. From all of us here at The Deep Dive, have a happy and thoughtful Thanksgiving.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive Dispatch. We hope you found today's episode enlightening and packed full of insight. Remember, your support keeps us diving deep into the stories that matter. So if you enjoyed the show, make sure to download and share it with others who crave a deeper understanding of politics and history. And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If there's a topic out there that you think deserves a deep dive, reach out and let us know. Your input helps us bring you the most compelling content week after week. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time on Deep Dive Dispatch. Keep exploring, folks.